Most women don't struggle with femininity, they struggle with the stereotype of it. If you've ever felt like femininity isn't for you, it's probably because you've been trying to fit into someone else's archetype. In this video, I'm going to help you identify your feminine archetype and how to dress for it in a way that makes you magnetic without feeling fake. Hello and welcome to Fashionful. I'm Jackie, I'm a personal stylist and I help women create a personal image that opens the door to the life of their dreams. Okay, let's get started. Chapter number 1, misconceptions about femininity. In general, this is where most people get confused about what femininity truly means. There's 3 huge misconceptions flying around femininity that make this topic so confusing and are most likely what's keeping you from feeling comfortable with it. Number 1, femininity looks the same for everyone. Since we're kids, we're exposed to so many messages about how girls should be sweet and delicate and how we all should wear dresses and bows, but what if you don't feel comfortable with that? For example, I once had a client who, for her style book, wrote this beautiful letter telling her story of how she grew up in a dysfunctional house, and in that environment, she had to be tough. She felt like being soft was something that she couldn't allow herself to be, and therefore she learned femininity was not for her. But one of her goals was to connect with it now that she has her own place. So when I created her style book, I looked for elements that complemented the softness of her features to help her see her own delicate side and encourage her to explore her femininity without putting her in high heels and skirts because that wouldn't have felt natural for her. So instead of forcing yourself to wear clothes that fit the general concept of feminine, experiment with the elements that represent your own version of it. This is actually the kind of work that I do inside my style book. We don't force you into stereotypes, we decode your story and build a version of femininity that feels like home in your own body. Number 2, femininity means being soft and delicate. The idea that the only way to be feminine is to be soft is not new. For centuries, traits like delicacy, softness, tenderness, and even love were associated with women, while strength, vision, wisdom, and bravery were linked to men. This narrative has been replicated in wives. The marketing strategy was that a delicate feminine woman who took care of the house and her kids was more valuable to her man. In the 90s, it was this super pink pop girl style that was often associated with young women being playful, careless, and oblivious, who were clueless about how the world actually worked. Nowadays, with women questioning these ideas more and more, social media popularized the terms light feminine and dark feminine. When you are light feminine, you show the usual traits associated to femininity: playfulness, softness, curiosity. Your personality is bubbly, loving, emotional, and nurturing. But if you display the traits that were typically associated with men, you are now considered dark feminine, meaning you're strategic, assertive, and driven. Your personality is strong, commanding, confident, and powerful. But regardless of the name you want to give it, the way in which you express your femininity is completely unique to you. So, next time you catch yourself thinking that femininity isn't natural for you or avoiding certain piece of clothing because you consider yourself to be too tough for it, say the following affirmation. I express my femininity in the way that feels more authentic and aligned to me. I let go of ideas and expectations of others. And number 3, femininity is an energy. This is deeply related to the last point and it might be controversial, but somebody has to say it. Energy is neither feminine nor masculine. For the energy to be one of those, it would need to have a mind of its own that can identify itself with feminine or masculine, but energy doesn't have a mind like ours. This idea is the modern, more diluted version of an ancient Chinese belief, yin and yang energy. So for you to understand, this is basically the energy present in nature. Yin's soft, small, delicate, calm, cool, everything that blooms and grows. Yang, on the other hand, is bold, sharp, big, strong, imposing, warm, everything that expands and forces changes. They were not about men and women, they were about patterns in nature, and both energies coexist in everything. Nothing is purely yin or yang. These cosmological views in many cultures created duality in society. In Chinese thought, yin became associated with earth, earth with fertility, fertility with womb, womb with female. Yang became associated with heaven, heaven with seed, and seed with male. Then, this was used to establish the idea that men held all the authority while women were more suited to care for others. The duality got more rigid, mistaking Yang's flexibility and receptiveness for weakness and submission. This evolved over the centuries, creating the gender roles as we know them today, and now, in the era of TikTok, new generations found a way to rebrand them with words they are more familiar with. So, that's how the concept of feminine energy came to life, which is the aesthetic term for being soft, delicate, and submissive. Aspect of yourself with this idea can be successfully applied is your physical features. If you've ever heard of key body types or 7 style essences by Kitchener, you'll know they follow the principle of yin and yang to find the one that's more dominant in your appearance. This works because it has nothing to do with your inner dimension. It is not your behavior or your identity. It is your body, which is a creation of nature. If you are not familiar with these approaches, I have videos explaining them in detail. I'll leave them in the description. But basically, if femininity is not biological, energetic, or exclusive to one fraction of the human population, it means that it can be a form of self-expression. This is why it cannot be only soft and delicate or look the same for everyone. So if you want to connect with it, let go of the idea that it is an energy and embrace it as a part of your identity. This leads us to chapter number 2, what are the feminine archetypes and how to find yours. First, to be able to connect with your unique type of femininity, we need to understand what the archetypes are and how they fit into our lives in 2026. The modern concept of archetypes comes mainly from Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist considered the founder of analytical psychology. Jung proposed that humans share a collective unconscious, meaning all the behavioral patterns that we see in society. This is what he called archetypes, and they shape how we experience identity, relationships, and even the meaning we give to reality. Another major influence is mythologist Joseph Campbell, famous for The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Campbell studied recurring characters in myths across different civilizations and noticed that both female and male characters revolve around certain roles related to their qualities. But these were more narrative rather than based on personalities. Pretty much like what we see in movies, like Tiana from Princess and the Frog. She's driven, smart, and she's a hard worker who's not afraid to aim high. And then you have the Shadow Man, who's lazy, manipulative, and a liar who's always looking for the shortcut to get his way without paying the price, right? These are the types of characters you can see over and over again in different stories because they are there to teach you that every archetype has pros and cons. They evolved until they became what we know today, and a popular influence to get to this point was Yin Shinoda Bolen, who connected female archetypes to Greek goddesses and the goddesses in every woman, creating a more relatable, even fun way to understand your femininity type through the traits and stories of another female figure. They're all considered majestic and powerful in their own way. They don't compete, so this puts all femininity archetypes on the same level of beauty and acceptance. They serve as an identity exploration tool that, when used correctly, can help with self-awareness, emotional growth, personal and professional development, and style identity. But when you use them poorly, become limiting boxes, gender stereotypes, or plain aesthetic trends. Keep in mind that since we are real-life people and not movie characters, you can have a mix of up to 3 archetypes, but you can actually move between them depending on context, goals, relationships, or even the stage of your life you're going through right now. The 3 of them show different aspects of your inner dimension, usually working as a triangle. First, you have your core archetype, which is the pattern that shows up most naturally in how you move through the world. It is the energy people consistently associate with you. People describe you this way even when you're not trying. It shows up across different areas of your life, like how you solve problems or approach difficulties or make decisions. It feels natural, not forced, and it answers the question, how am I in reality? The second is your rising archetype, and it is the one you are currently growing into or consciously developing. It usually appears when your life circumstances change and you try to build a new identity or step into a new role. It requires intention at first because you are not used to operating with this archetype, but it comes to you when you start admiring people who embody it and practice behaviors related to it, with a slightly uncomfortable but exciting feeling. This one answers the question, who am I becoming? Which is why it might seem like this new way of approaching reality aligns perfectly with where your life is going. And thirdly, you have your shadow archetype, which represent the traits that are repressed, distorted, overused, or feared. It answers the question, what is sabotaging me? And it can show up in 2 ways. as the suppressed shadow, meaning the traits you reject but secretly have, or as the overactive shadow when your core archetype becomes exaggerated. If you ignore the shadow, it drives you into unconsciousness. If you integrate it, it becomes a strength. Now that you know all this, it is time to explore all 8 feminine archetypes so you can find your mix. Number 1, the maiden. She's based on the goddess Persephone and she represents potential. She shows up in the phase of life where identity is still forming. She's open, curious, adaptive, and sensitive to her environment. She's driven by discovery, belonging, identity formation, emotional connection, learning through experience, new beginnings, experimentation, and youthfulness. Her strengths are she's open to change, emotionally sensitive, she relies on her imagination and her ability to reinvent herself and her environment. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through people-pleasing, lack of boundaries, dependence on external validation, avoidance of responsibility. A good example of this, surprisingly, is Sandy Olsen from Greece. She is a new girl in school and makes her act naive and playing small. At the beginning you think she's sweet and soft, but she's just insecure because she tries so hard to fit into this group of girls she just met. And at the same time, Danny, the boy that she had a summer love story with, mistreat her in front of his friends repeatedly, hoping that one day he will go back to his loving and caring personality she fell in love with. In the end, it's to set boundaries and acknowledge her value. She decides she needs to transform herself into a whole different person to make Danny realize she's worthy of being respected. And only then he finally accepts he wants to be with her, and she accepts this. Just like that. Like he didn't treat her poorly the whole semester. Like, girl, have you heard of standards? When she is healthy, the maiden embraces her creativity with purpose, direction, instead of being naive, and explores the world without losing her center. Sherry Horowitz is the best example of a maiden who's healthy because she begins being, well, clueless. But as she experiences setbacks in her journey, she approaches them with curiosity and compassion. She might have acted a bit selfishly, but at the same time, you can see how she uses her charm and creativity to help others while making sense of her own experiences. She tries to discover the world and become a better person. She's youthful, fun, sensitive, and she likes to connect with other people. Another good example of a healthy maiden is Emily Cooper. Don't get me wrong, she can be oblivious at times and she often lacks the ability to read the room, but she has a charm that opens all opportunities that she wants. She shines among all people around her because she allows herself to be impressed by simple things. She is quirky and joyful, and she uses her creativity to solve problems like nobody else. That's her advantage. Also, Emily is a wonderful example of the embodiment of your archetype. We can see that in her fashion taste. She might be controversial with her outfits, but one truth about her is that she's not ashamed to use crazy patterns, unusual combos, and bold colors because they reflect how she sees the world. Number 2, the mother. Most commonly linked to the goddess Demeter, she represents creation and protection. The mother archetype is not about literal motherhood, it's about the instinct to nurture, build, sustain, and emotionally support life. She's driven by protecting others, building safe environments, emotional care, stability, continuity, and creation. Her strengths are empathy, emotional intelligence, patience, and the ability to hold people together. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through martyr complex, controlling through care, emotional overextension, and losing her identity and sense of self. I think that although Queen is her core archetype, Lou from Elite has Mother as her shadow. She states on multiple occasions how much she takes care of others, especially the men in her life. She treats Guzman as a child who needs to be lectured when he doesn't behave the way she wants when he finally becomes her boyfriend. She treats her half-brother as somebody who cannot survive without her constant restraint and emotional support, to the point where she admits she's tired of protecting him as if he was a baby eager to put his fingers inside an electrical outlet. This is because she's unable to present herself as vulnerable. Lou thinks that showing love and affection in an open and transparent way could hurt her image of Queen and make people respect her less. An example of an unhealthy mother archetype is Love Queen from You. She's an emotional time bomb. She seems caring and loving at first, she cooks meals for her loved ones, she's protective and supportive, she's family driven, and even has a creative side. But as she opens up, you can see how she uses the excuse of protection to cause pain and kill relentlessly. Love doesn't feel remorse because she thinks her actions are justified. After all, that's the way she shows affection, and usually plays a victim when people don't accept her actions. Especially Jo, who mirrors her behavior but makes her feel judged. When she is healthy, the mother nurtures without self-abandonment, providing support while respecting autonomy. One healthy mother I love is Helen Parr from The Incredibles. She's really cool because she's smart, she's strong, strategic, and yet vulnerable and nurturing. She will do anything to protect her family and keep them together, but she knows her power and worth. Helen is a firm believer that she's not just a superhero's wife or an actual stay-at-home mom. She recognizes her talents and is confident in herself as an individual, besides of her mom and wife roles. Number 3, the lover. She is connected to Aphrodite and represents attraction and aliveness. She has sensual awareness, creativity, emotional intensity, and a deep appreciation for beauty. She's driven by pleasure, connection, aesthetic expression, passion, emotional depth, and sensory experiences. Her strengths are magnetism, creativity, charisma, emotional awareness, and artistic sensitivity. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through validation addiction, jealousy, manipulation through charm, drama cycles, and prioritizing aesthetics and pleasure over peace, calm, or real value. The most accurate representation of a shadow lover has to be Cassie Howard from Euphoria. She's addicted to male validation. She learned since she was a girl that she could use her body and looks to manipulate men to be with her or to give her what she wants. But this puts her in endless drama cycles and unstable relationships that perpetuate her victim mentality, lack of accountability, and never-ending mind games. Kat is deeply insecure and therefore she thinks she needs to be every man's fantasy to keep them with her. Because if they see the real her, they might leave. Her search for passion and intimacy keeps her trapped in violence and chaos. Two amazing examples of healthy lovers are real-life people. Singers Sabrina Carpenter and Rihanna. They both have built their careers and personal brands around their sensuality, confidence, and magnetism. While Sabrina is a bit more humorous and romantic, Rihanna is a bit more edgy and daring, but they're both undeniably alluring. Also, they both share the quality of embodying their own take on lover femininity through their style choices. Sabrina leans into soft colors, lots of pink shades on her makeup, short clothes, and fun elements because she captivates with her playfulness. On the other hand, Rihanna has a slightly darker aesthetic with sheer dresses, headpieces, and bold colors because she captivates with intensity. See how even the same archetype can look different from one person to another? Number 4, the Queen. Often connected to Hera, sometimes blended with Athena, she's a representation of order. The Queen is all about leadership, responsibility, and standards. She's driven by structure, governance, influence, legacy, and authority. Her strengths are decision-making, long-term thinking, accountability, and commanding presence. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through need to control everyone and everything, superiority, rigidity, obsession with status, and perfectionism. Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl stars as a textbook shadow queen. She's rigid, controlling, and pretends to be perfect to maintain her status and hide her insecurities. She often resorts to scheming and blackmailing to get her way, and she doesn't stop at anything to achieve her goals, even if it means hurting others. Although through the seasons, she finally learns her values, she lets go of her insecurities and need for control, she stops forcing situations and instead adapts to her circumstances to reach a new vision for her future, regain control of her life after the perfect plan she has since she was a little girl is shattered, always remaining true to her vision and her words, becoming a healthy queen in the end. Another example is Regina George, who positioned herself as the literal queen of her school. She created an army of followers that served her interests and leveraged secrets from everyone to gain control. And she turned on people who didn't follow her. And this is funny because she actually is a personification of the femininity stereotype of her time. She's pretty, flawless, she dresses in miniskirts and lots of pink, her hair and makeup are always on point, and yet she used all of this to fulfill her unhealthy need for control to ensure her status. When she is healthy, the queen builds systems that uplift others rather than dominate them. Princess Jasmine is a wonderful, healthy queen. She looks for ways to sneak out of her castle because she's not comfortable with seeing people from above. She wants to meet them, see their struggles firsthand, so when her time to rule comes, she can provide good living conditions for everyone. She's confident, fierce, and stands her ground to defend her convictions. She is not afraid to pursue her dreams, even if it means questioning the very system that benefits her. Jasmine trusts her intelligence to make decisions that can transform life for the better. Number 5, the Huntress or Warrior. Most clearly associated with Artemis, she represents autonomy. The huntress archetype prioritizes her independence, personal direction, and competence. She is driven by freedom, achievement, self-sufficiency, mastery, and movement. Her strengths are focus, resilience, courage, strategic thinking, and independence. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through emotional detachment, hyper-independence, burnout, difficulty receiving support, and pushing people away. Wednesday Addams is an interesting example because I believe she's a huntress whose shadow is overactive. Wednesday is strategic. She focuses her sharp mind on solving mysteries no one else can. She's driven, strong, brave, and loyal, yet when she notices that she's bonding with someone, she immediately pushes them away, resists her feeling, and makes it clear that she's better off alone. She has issues trusting others and makes her worst mistakes when being hyper-independent. Another shadow huntress is Natasha Romanoff. She learned to be a literal killing machine. She was trained to be cold, heartless, precise, and deliver results regardless of who her target is. She has difficulty laying down her guard and letting people see her human side because she sees it as a weakness that can cost her success in her missions. Although in the end, she opens up and realizes the true value of love and friendships in a world that constantly questions the morality of her actions. When she is healthy, the huntress balances independence with connection. Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, is a pretty good example of a healthy huntress. She's brave, courageous, she has firm convictions that are not about her own benefit, but the benefit of the whole humanity. She fights because she sees the value of life itself, she's connected with her sensitivity and believes there's good in everyone. Diana acts because she truly believes her duty is to protect others, even if they don't understand her mission, or even if it means sacrificing her own comfort. Number 6, the wise or the sage. Commonly associated with Athena or figures such as Hecate, she embodies insight. The sage values knowledge, perspective, and pattern recognition. She's driven by understanding systems, mentoring others, truth-seeking, strategy, and intellectual clarity. Her strengths are wisdom, calm thinking, guidance, and perspective. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through emotional distance, intellectual superiority, cynicism, and withdrawal from life. I believe an interesting example of a shadow sage is Lexi Howard from Euphoria. She's not leaning completely into the extreme, but she uses her quiet nature to position herself in the middle of her sister's friend group only to be able to observe and judge them. This is because she's constantly comparing herself to Cassie and feels insecure, seeing how she gets all the attention. Lexi sees her calmness as a weakness, not as a strength. And when she finally discovers she has a knack for analyzing and observing, she pours all her intel into a play that not only reveals everyone's secrets in front of the whole school, but mocks them for being who they are. As if Lexi had some kind of superior intelligence that allowed her the right to make fun of the least enlightened. When she is healthy, the sage integrates her intellect with compassion. One of the best examples of a healthy sage is actress Emma Watson, who shares this quality with two of her most iconic roles, Belle from Beauty and the Beast and Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. They're all very vocal about their genuine interest in knowledge. They all love reading, they're all recognized for their intelligence and brilliance and use it as a superpower. They look for a novel way to use their knowledge, and that usually is guiding others and helping them discover the truth within themselves with compassion, not superiority. Number 7, the mystic. Often tied to Hestia and sometimes Persephone in her mature form, she's a representation of inner connection. The mystic focuses on meaning, symbolism, and spiritual awareness. She's driven by introspection, understanding unseen patterns, inner peace, sacred rituals, and depth. Her strengths are intuition, emotional perception, calm presence, and depth of thought. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through escapism, dissociation from reality, passivity, and isolation. Wanda Maximoff becomes the extreme of this archetype when she starts tangling her psychic powers with her rage. The grief she's experienced leads her into a state that detaches her from reality. People who used to be close to her, or at least on her side, appear as enemies when they try to stop her from using her power for distraction. Her ability to look inward and connect with her mystical powers gets clouded by her refusal to accept reality. When she's healthy, the mystic channels spirituality into her practical life. The first example I can think of is Luna Lovegood. Even in a world of wizards and witches, She seems extremely whimsical. People often mistake her for oblivious and delusional, but she's so connected with her inner light that she doesn't even care. Luna is calm, intuitive, and she sees the world in a different way. And that's her ultimate advantage. She can feel the aura of people, their thoughts forming in their heads, because she's deeply perceptive. Number 8, the Destroyer. Often connected to Kali or Medusa, she represents necessary endings. The Destroyer appears when something must die so something new can emerge. She's driven by truth, boundaries, liberation, transformation, and rebirth. Her strengths are courage to confront reality, radical honesty, ability to cut toxic patterns, resilience after crisis. When she is in her shadow, she expresses it through destruction without purpose, rage, impulsive decisions, and self-sabotage. One that can be pretty extreme is Nancy Downs from The Craft. She has a complicated background. She comes from poverty, an abusive connection, and she finds in black magic a way to gain power. At first, it seems she wants to use her abilities to fight injustice, but the more she becomes confident in her witchcraft, the more she gets addicted to the feeling of power, and she enjoys being feared and loses herself in superiority and paranoia at the same time. Nancy used her Destroyer to go against people who threaten her new status, to ensure nobody could ever be above her. When she is healthy, the Destroyer energy is not chaotic. It removes what no longer serves. A healthy Destroyer could be Mulan. She defies everything her culture and family believe in to protect her father and her country. It takes courage to infiltrate the military as a woman, especially in a society that wouldn't even allow her to speak in public without permission from a man. She's looking for a transformation of old traditions that wouldn't allow her to fight as a woman to begin with. And in the end, she not only helps defeat the Huns, but she showed her whole country a new way to victory. She didn't defy the norms for her own benefit or to cause pain to anyone or out of selfishness, but to lead a positive change. Besides, when they finally discovered her real identity and keep her from returning to the capital with the army, she saves the day wearing a dress, proving that her take on femininity can still be brave and strong when looking delicate. Those are all the feminine archetypes. Don't forget that in Jung's psychology, they function more like forces that activate at different stages of your life. And since real life is messy, you can move back and forth between them. If you understand this, you can use them intelligently to deep dive into your motivations, the dynamics you create in your relationships, identity shifts that you might have been experiencing, unique power expression, creative style, and even your personal brand if that's something you're looking for. Now that you have your mix and you understand what femininity feels like for you, it is time to move to the fun part, dressing for your archetype. This is amazing because it can help you remember the strengths, skills, and motivations of your core while grounding you to work through the aspects of your shadow or practice becoming your rising. See it as an experiment about exploring all the corners of your identity and translating them into the world. One thing nobody tells you about dressing for your feminine archetype is that mixing elements of both your core and your rising will give you that extra layer of depth that you need to make it authentic. And you are not limited to clothes only. Dare to play with the hair color, makeup, nails, even your perfume. In the end, this is about embodying your archetype, and the best way to do it is to create a whole experience around it. I'll teach you how to do it. Number 1, the maiden. If maiden is your core archetype, you can express it with bright and light colors. Of course, this will look different depending on your color season, but you can look for the more cheerful colors in your palette. Also, fun details like a mix of creative patterns, creative accessories, or soft materials like fur or wool are really good options. Also, sweet perfumes might be a good trick because they will bring out that curious aura. Some options you can try are Honey by Marc Jacobs, Cream Caramel by Alan Bray, or Mutine by Miu Miu. If maiden is the archetype you want to integrate, you can start with more subtle glimpses of her, such as accessories that are creative but not so in your face, you know? Also, integrating a pop of unexpected color can soften your look and give you that youthful energy. Try with soft materials over your main archetype style. I, for example, have Queen as my core, but I am trying to embrace my maiden more this year, so I bought this beautiful dress that has this floral lace on top. This is something I wouldn't usually wear, but it works because the material is delicate, yet the whole piece is in dark colors, and the silhouette of the dress is more straight, which goes well with my body type, dramatic classic. I also got this corset, which is mainly queen. It's regal, structured, and the color is within my palette. It has this subtle detail that's extremely delicate, so it balances the sharpness of the overall piece without overwhelming my body, nor the queen archetype. If maiden is your shadow, it means you've been dressing intentionally to portray the damsel in distress or to get external validation, even if it doesn't feel authentic or comfortable. So get rid of the items in your closet that are aligned with this narrative. Don't reveal too much or dress over the cute just for the sake of getting compliments and attention. If you're naturally girly, express it, even if it doesn't look appealing in other people's view. Your image doesn't need to be performative. Number 2, the mother. When mother is your core archetype, you can embody its energy by being warm and approachable. Think knitted cardigans, soft cotton shirts, corduroy, teddy fur. Also, soft warm colors are a wonderful option. Think coral pink, pearl white, butter yellow, olive green. All these mimic your naturally caring spirit. Your best perfumes will be those that are clean, floral, and a bit spiced, like Outgasm Rosé by Kayali, Signature by Mont Blanc, and Tears from the Moon by Gucci. If you're trying to incorporate mother into your mix, start by wearing warm colored accessories like brown leather bags, amber crystals, or golden jewelry. Or you can mix one soft texture into your look among the elements of your core. Shadow mother might show up as dressing in your most simple outfits because you're constantly stretching out yourself to care for others. Therefore, you don't take the time to dress up for you just for the pleasure of looking nice when you look in the mirror. You believe that dedicating this time to yourself is selfish and a waste of time? Try wearing an outfit that makes you feel beautiful and put together, even if you're just running errands or working from home. You don't need glam makeup or high heels, but adding a touch of gloss and mascara, putting your hair in a beautiful braid, or wearing a nice sundress can do wonders. Number 3, the lover. If you're a core lover girly, embrace your most sensual side. Fur, animal print, heart-shaped tops, big shiny jewelry, 90s blowout hairstyle, even silk robes, and PJs are a wonderful way to add that luxurious feeling into your daily life. The perfumes that amplify your magnetic energy are those deep, rich, and bold essences, like Black Opium Over Red by Yves Saint Laurent, Deep Red by Hugo Boss, or Goldia the Roman Night by Bulgari. If you're trying to incorporate lover into your mix, you can start by adding a sexier piece in your outfit. It can be a lacy top or something that shows a little bit more skin. It doesn't have to be too revealing, you don't have to feel uncomfortable, or you can even try with the color of your lipstick. But the idea is that you have one element that reminds you of your allure. Being a shadow lover means you've been using your looks as a mask to manipulate others. You don't dress to express yourself, so stop being performative and start being authentic. Being sensual is absolutely fine, but what matters here is your mindset. Incorporating elements of both your core and rising archetypes can help you find your true expression of femininity. Number 4, the queen. With the queen as your core, it is all about making powerful statements. Structured pieces, geometric patterns, metallic accessories, and deep luxurious colors inspired by jewels are more than enough to amplify the elegance of your presence. Elegant items like long coats, stilettos, and statement accessories are often related to this archetype. I love incorporating it through color. I often gravitate towards emerald green, burgundy, sapphire blue, or royal purple for both makeup and clothes. You can wear fragrances like Alien by Mugler. My boyfriend gave this one to me as a gift once, and it was very intense. It is the kind of perfume that makes the whole room smell like that, and people always gave me compliments on it. Other options are Libre by Yves Saint Laurent, Spirituous Double Vanille by Guerlain, or any potent, rich, strong perfume. Bringing the energy of queen as your rising by adding sharpness to your looks, maybe on your shoes or a blazer with very defined shoulders, elongated earrings or necklaces. If you are unsure about sharpness, you can play with more elegant materials like leather, velvet, or silk. Metallic hair accessories are also a really good option. You don't need an actual crown. Sometimes even a nice hair clip can do the trick. When queen is your shadow, it can show in your rigidity. If you're dressing too sober because you think that's how you gain authority and control, let me tell you, the insecurity can still show. Dressing in blazers and button-ups all the time won't make people respect you. If you want to become a real leader and be confident, you have to work on your communication skills and body language. Also, dressing entirely as queen makes you look distant. People admire and trust somebody who's not afraid to show vulnerability. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Including some softer elements here and there will help you find the balance. Number 5, the huntress. A core huntress shines through practical elements. She values movement, action, and initiative. Items like a nice pair of boots, cargo pants, big bags, and functional accessories are her best match. Although this doesn't mean you need to wear jeans and sneakers 24/7, with items that are adaptable for multiple situations, like modular jackets and pants, or simply by creating a wardrobe that you can style in every single season of the year, is more than enough to embody your uncomplicated nature. Also, fragrances that are fresh, ozonic, woody, and sporty, such as Acqua di Gioia by Giorgio Armani, Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana, or H2O by Tous, will be perfect to create that freedom aura around you. If you want to integrate the hundreds, start by adding relaxed nods to nature, such as natural fibers, born neutral colors like beige, light brown, sage green, sky blue, and stone gray. Doing your hair in braids or a bit of a messy bun will make you look relaxed while you go through your day. You can also try a no makeup look, focusing on making your skin look glowy and healthy. If you have huntress as your shadow, chances are that you have been neglecting your appearance because you feel that's too superficial. You're a bit too detached from the world and feel like doing anything to your image, even if it's just ironing your pants, it's too much of an effort. The truth is, this is not making you look like the carefree spirit you think you are, but actually like you don't care about yourself. It is possible to keep a simple image that doesn't feel performative. You don't need to wear makeup and curls every single day, but dedicating time to put up your hair with intention, choosing pieces that reflect your own version of femininity is not an act of vanity, it's self-love. Number 6, the sage. If you're a core sage, colors can be your best resource. You're naturally introspective, and to reflect that, soft medium tones like gray, dusk blue, lavender, or camel can look fantastic on you. Soft wavy hairstyles are also really good to bring out that understated authority you possess. Materials like cashmere, wool, silk, or lace are excellent options to give you that timeless look, as well as vintage pieces, floral embroidery, frills, and bows. Items like leather gloves, briefcases, reading glasses, and pocket watches can add to the wisdom effect. Also, don't be afraid to add a little bit of symbolism. These are hidden messages that only the most observant people like you will notice. Perfumes that are subtle and elegant with herbal, amber, or even nut notes, like Fate Woman by Amour, Sois Malake by Dries Van Noten, The Musk by Essential Perfumes amplify that calm and confident energy you have. When including the sage as your rising, you can start with one single accessory on your look, maybe a brooch. Also, adding a bit of lace, which is very discreet, will make you look more whimsical. You can also play with silhouettes, high necks, with a bit of gathering, tops with buttons, either on the front or the back side, rounded necklines, or even capes. Pleated skirts and trousers, tartan, and high boots with laces are also good ways to bring that wise energy into your wardrobe. Having the sage as your shadow could mean that you have been dressing with the intention to become almost invisible. On one hand, because you've convinced yourself you don't belong, you withdraw yourself from the rest of the world and find shelter in your own little bubble. That's nothing but fear of stepping out of your comfort zone. And on the other hand, because you secretly believe you're above everyone else, you don't see the benefit of interactions with people who are not as enlightened as you. But it turns out that there are a lot of things you don't know about the world because the only way to learn them is by living them. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big introvert. I'm very quiet in social situations and deeply introspective, but by stepping out of my comfort zone, I've met wonderful people. So find the balance. Give people an opportunity to surprise you and even challenge your ideas. And stop fearing being seen. You will find it mentally stimulating. Number 7, the mystic. For the mystic girly, you can let your imagination flow quite literally. Long drapey dresses, extremely delicate materials like tulle or silk, celestial motifs, or elements related to nature, and not only on your clothes but also in your hair, which can be done in a wavy, soft style. Layering transparent materials can give you that magical effect. You can go from very light pastel colors within your palette to reach jewel-inspired tones. Elongated accessories that are metallic or crystal are fantastic, especially if they also have a secret meaning and symbolism. Also, handmade accessories or details can be a very good addition to your look. Fragrances that are herbal, tea-inspired, woody, smoky, and floral, like Replica Soul of the Forest by Maison Margiela, Incense City by All Saints, or Day Noir 29 by Lulabo, can amplify your mysterious and otherworldly vibe. If you want to incorporate the mystic into your life, you can begin with subtle details like very delicate hair tinsel. I feel this is something that can can add that magical touch to your daily life in an instant. Or some quartzes as your accessories. Glittery makeup in colors like blue, purple, green, golden, or silver can do the trick as well. When the mystic is your shadow, it means you've been using your gifts, beliefs, and insight a little too hard until you detach yourself completely from reality. You don't like the world around you, nor the age you are living in right now. And believe me, I get it. There are so many surreal, unfair, ugly stuff happening every day, everywhere. But you can still romanticize your life, your house, your looks, without using them as an escape route out of reality. Keeping in mind your clothes need to be practical for your lifestyle and context is very important, not only the aesthetics. Number 8, the destroyer. And lastly, as a core destroyer, you are here to create breakthroughs and contrasts. So bold and striking color combination, very sharp details that are typically associated with rebellion or disruptive subcultures, such as flames, studs, military-inspired jackets, metallic details, and harnesses. The destroyer is not afraid to be seen, so big, chunky accessories are also a good match. Daring and even spiky hairstyles are fantastic to create that powerful effect, as well as materials like leather, gabardine, mesh, and sequins. Your best perfumes are those intense, spicy as in hot, and moody, like Alien Fusion by Mugler, Fatal Intense by Agent Provocateur, or Replica by The Fireplace by Maison Margiela. If you're looking to integrate the destroyer into your mix, start with elements that help you connect with your power, like print-inspired and powerful animals, leopard, crocodile, or snakes. You can add a little bit of sharpness with almond-shaped nails in bold colors or sharp eyeliner. Buckles, straps, and laces are good to create the aura of a strong spirit. Even a dark lipstick can give you that effect. If you're a shadow destroyer, it can be reflected in an image that is made to be intimidating or fearful. You want people to understand your rage, your disdain, and your chaotic inner world, like you are a walking warning sign. You think that the slightest proof of softness can be mistaken for weakness, so you created an armor you wear all the time, and only the people who replicate this messy and complicated energy are allowed close to you. You can enjoy the toughest side of femininity without pushing people away or creating chaos. I personally enjoy a lot of the visual elements of the destroyer archetype, but I'm aware they need to be balanced to not fall into the trap of using my style to embody toxic behaviors. Remember that your personal image should help you connect with the right people and opportunities, not become a mask to hide the aspects of your inner dimension you refuse to work on. And that's it for today's video. Now you know that femininity can look very unique for everyone. It is not about repeating stereotypes. It's about using your archetype to channel this energy to the world and make it your appeal. If you master this, you'll be irresistible and attractive in your own terms. And that's exactly why I created the style book. It's not just a styling guide, it's a personalized strategy where we align your inner identity, your goals, your story, your lifestyle with your physical features so your image actually supports the life you're trying to build. We work through what I call the 5 pillars of personal image, combining your personal style and context with your body type, facial essence, and color season to create a system that makes your confidence visible. This isn't about trends, it's about embodiment. If you're ready to stop guessing and start dressing like the woman you're becoming, you can message me on WhatsApp to book your style session. That's where we begin the deep analysis and build your strategy. If you're still unsure whether it's right for you or not, you can book a free clarity call first. I'll help you understand exactly what approach fits your goal. You can keep trying to figure out your style for years, or you can build a strategy once that will support you forever. Everything is linked below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe so we can reach more women who are trying to connect with their femininity. Also, let me know in the comments, what was your archetypes mix? I'd love to know. If you want me to make more videos about dressing for your archetype or how to choose your signature fragrance, leave me a comment. And don't forget, you can also join my Substack community where you can read more in-depth articles about the topics that I talk about here on YouTube. You only go to my page, put your email, and you'll receive my updates directly. It's free for now, so hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!